It finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. We have come to the final rhetoric as Haason Reddick will officially be reporting to the New York Jets as the New York Jets and Haason Reddick have finally agreed on a contract. What this means for the Jets long term, what does it mean for Reddick in the short term? There is a whole lot to get into today as we get ready for Sunday Night Football, a game the Jets must win. But if the Jets are able to win this game and come back and beat the Patriots next week, all of a sudden the season will have a totally different outlook. Hello, everyone. This morning, because of course the Jets just cannot stop making news this week. Just when we thought it was safe to go outside, the New York Jets have come to an agreement. And here's the details of the deal. According to Adam Schefter, Reddick and the Jets have reached an agreement on an adjusted contract. Reddick will be reporting to the team Monday morning and will continue to work towards a long-term extension, according to Drew Rosenhaus, the agent of Reddick, who negotiated the adjusted contract with Jason Rosenhaus and Ryan Matha. Update on the compensation as well. The Jets have agreed to waive over $12 million in fines for Reddick, honoring his contract for the remainder of the season and reporting to work. So the fines will disappear. The Jets will take care of the fines. So that is a big move in all of this. So Haason Reddick's contract of 1 year, $14 million is on the table, but the Jets have also added a little bit more in there as well, because they have said in this that there will be a Haason Reddick bonus, basically, if he gets sacked. So Reddick will get the remainder of his base, about $9 million, plus the new incentives that will allow him to recoup the $12 million in fines. By rule, the offseason fines cannot be waived, but it seems like the Jets will do everything in their power to get rid of that. And of course, it doesn't impact the cap, which is good, because if the Jets still want to make another move, they have the ability to do so. So once again, with the moves of Devontae Adams and Haason Reddick, it doesn't dramatically increase the cap. So the Jets could still be looking to add pieces before the November 5th trade deadline. That was a mouthful, but we have finally got here. The big question is, how long until Reddick gets in shape? How much of an impact will he be able to make? Will he even play next weekend? I doubt he will play against the Patriots. My thought process is that their goal is to ramp him up and have him as a situational pass rusher, potentially for the Thursday night game. Because keep in mind, the way the Jets schedule breakdown is they have the Sunday night game in Pittsburgh. They'll be traveling to New England for Sunday, but then they have the short week for the primetime Halloween night game on October the 31st. So we will have a lot to talk about with that. Look, this is a holdout that I think that the Jets, and yes, both sides are guilty for getting to this point, how long it's taken. I think the Jets handled this best they could. I think Woody Johnson really pushed Joe Douglas to get this done, especially with the fines. But here's the big picture. I think that the Jets, and again, for all the negativity you want to say about the Jets, I do think the Jets do try to do right by the players, and they gave Reddick an opportunity and Drew Rosenhaus an opportunity. They said, okay, you really think you're going to get a long-term deal with someone? We'll give you the opportunity. And you've got some nibbles from the Lions, which was obvious. But when it became clear that basically these teams are going to tell Haason what the Jets were going to tell him, which was, well, we're not going to pay you anything. You're going to play out the end of this contract. We'll talk to you at the end of the season. That it came to the conclusion that, look, we need to get this done here. It's a one-term Band-Aid. And look, I think Rosenhaus basically told his client, here's how it's going to go. I know you've been told in your ear that basically you can get a massive contract, but here's the optics. You've been through 4 teams in 5 years. You've been through great organizations like the Eagles who didn't want to pay you. You got to the Jets. You told the Jets one thing. Your camp told them that you were going to play under the current deal and that they would work toward a long-term deal throughout the season. That didn't happen. You basically held out for 8 games to the point where you lost over $12 million. So even if you ball out this season and have a great season, the question then becomes, okay, who's going to give you a long-term deal? Now, do I think that the Jets might get a long-term deal done this offseason? It's certainly possible, But I think the biggest thing for this team is they look at this second half of the season, and this team basically is looking at this season and going, look, this is a talented football team. Let's just get into the tournament and see what happens. I think that this team at this point is just saying, look, let's just try to get in as a wild card. Let's get to 9 or 10 wins. Let's get the win tonight. In Pittsburgh, it will be a tough win. But if they can come back against New England, who's also, even though it's a home game for New England, not a great football team, 1-6, rookie quarterback coming back to Foxborough after playing in London this morning. Jets should have an advantage. And then Thursday night, look, even if they lose to the Texans and they finish after the Texans game at 4-5, you still feel pretty good about the optics of this team going forward. You got Devontae in the building. It's curious what's going to happen with Mike Williams. But look, Reddick can help this team because Reddick is a force multiplier on this team. Now, does he help with the biggest issue on this defense, the rush defense? A little, but not really. But the biggest thing he can provide is clear. He's a great pass rusher. And as great as Will McDonald has been this year, it's clear that there's not a lot of juice in this pass rushing game. You had Haason Reddick on this defensive line. All of a sudden, you get more favorable matchups for Will McDonald on the edge. You get better matchups for Quinnen Williams on the inside. And let's face it, in key situations, you're going to have an all-pro talent in Haason Reddick on the defensive edge than, let's say, a Michael Clemens. This deal needed to get done. I'm glad it is finally done. You wonder how it is going to play in the locker room after 8 weeks. But here's the biggest thing. The Jets are going all in this season. They had to go all in this season, and they had to get this eventually done. I said that there was different timelines throughout the season, and we've gone through different periods. And my thought process going into after the first 4 weeks, I said, look, the next deadline is the trade deadline, or right around there, because the Jets have to figure out, are they going to try to move this piece? Are they just going to hold them the entire season for the rights? Or are they going to get something done around the deadline? And we're right. Again, the deadline's still about a week and a half away. It's a little bit early for the trade deadline, but the Jets are still able to get this done. And look, it's a big splash. They've added Davante Adams. They've added a lot of pieces. And look, there's still the chance that basically this team could still be adding more pieces. If he is healthy, this allows the Jets to blitz less. This allows them to draw Quincy more into coverage. This allows them to do more on this defense, what Ulbrich wants to do with this defense. So I do think that this is a great move, especially after the loss of Jermaine Johnson. The Jets needed this boost. They needed this ability to get to the quarterback. This makes them a better team, and this is a season where they're all in. And I understand that Devontae and Aaron are saying, look, this is more than this season. But if you're Joe Douglas, if you're Ulbrich, if you're this coaching staff, they've already fired Robert Saleh. And I'm kind of wondering, too, could you imagine what Robert Saleh is feeling right now, where the whole Devontae thing has been hanging over this team and the whole Haason Reddick thing has been hanging over this team. And then finally the Jets get it done within 2 weeks of him being fired. And look, I still will defend the Jets for firing Robert Saleh. As much as I love Robert Saleh, here's the thing. The national media, I laugh because it's, again, until the Jets change the narrative, I get what the narrative is nationally. But I kind of laugh because for weeks all I heard of whoever's getting Davante Adams is getting an elite top 10 wide receiver. Then all of a sudden the Jets get him, and all of a sudden you keep hearing, well, Haason is getting older, looks banged up. He doesn't have the same speed. He's not the same. And I just kind of laughed with that, but it is kind of amazing where you look at this team, and this is still a talented team. The question is the coaching. I think the Todd Downing side of the ball and the play calling looked a lot better last week. I hope it continues to improve, but this is going to be a big opportunity for Jeff Ulbrich, because as much as I liked Ulbrich and I thought was the right move, last week the defense, they got punched in the mouth. Do I give them credit for making the halftime adjustments and playing great in the second half? Sure, but this is a team that's done that for years. I want to see them come out and get a stop. They're not playing a good quarterback tonight. If you are the Jets, you got to be able to play a lot of 4-3. I would put CJ Mosley in there with your linebackers. Go heavy. Force Russell Wilson to beat you. Force Russell Wilson to beat this team. And look, this is a team that I still think is a really good football team. But I'm glad the Reddick thing is done because, again, the biggest thing for the Reddick thing is it's almost an addition by subtraction. I still think you're going to get a good Haason Reddick. Is it going to be the all-pro defensive player of the year candidate, Haason Reddick? Probably not, especially at the beginning. But if you get even 70% of what Haason Reddick was, even for these last couple games, is still a huge upgrade over what you have in that defensive end room right now. And look, I'll also throw this out there. I wouldn't be done if I'm the Jets. They're already talking about Jadeveon Clowney being available potentially. I would go and get Jadeveon Clowney, especially with this heavy rotation. You have some guy that's played a lot more. And look, he's a good edge setter in the run game. He's very good. And as much as great as Will McDonald has been this season, he is a liability in the run game. You could put him in there on first down and third and long. Maybe do like a sub package too, where you shift Clowney to the inside next to Quinnen. You have Will McDonald. You have Haason Reddick. It allows this team a lot more possibilities. And look, I'd also look at interior defensive tackle. They need to improve the interior of this defense. I still don't think the Jets should be done. And who knows? Maybe Mike Williams gets traded. I know he's going to be active tonight. Now, I know this is a popular thing, and I'll get to your questions in the comments in a little bit below. I mean, let me know if you think the Jets should trade Mike Williams. Personally, I don't think they should, because he does offer them that unique big body in the red zone. And especially with the Jets' lack of production at the tight end position, I kind of feel like we're going to see the Jets, as the season progresses, move to more of what they were before Hackett got here, which was a more 3 receivers on the field the whole time with Devontae, with Garrett. And then you could swap out like Mike Williams on the outside. You can swap out some of those bigger bodies like Alan Lazard just to get them out there. And you can almost start using Mike Williams as maybe a tight end, more in the big body in the slot, gives you that opportunity. And look, it's frustrating because I want to see guys like Malachi Corley get an opportunity who've been just buried on this depth chart. But this is an incredible wide receiver room. They have to figure out how to get it done. And look, it starts with Pittsburgh tonight. If this Jet team, if we're sitting here a week from now and this Jet team is sitting here at 4-4, we're going to feel a lot differently about this team. But the thing is, they have to win tonight. They have to give this team an opportunity. But the biggest news is that the Jets have that. The team will be juiced up tonight. The streak begins tonight from Jetted Out. Looks like he's going to be rocking the Garrett Wilson. However, it's incredible. Woody's in the spotlight with a 3-game losing streak. Look, Tony, I think a lot of it is frustration. And the other thing too, Tony, is I think Woody has taken a lot of shrapnel in the last couple of weeks. And I think one of the biggest things that he has gotten from this fan base and from the public is that he doesn't care about this Jet team, especially after the Saleh firing. And I think that this is he won't invest in the team. And look, he's invested a lot of money in this team, especially in the roster. Has he invested in other parts of the organization that we wish they would have invested in? Maybe not. But he is showing that, look, I'll pay and figure out to get this Reddick thing done. I'll pay, even though my front office couldn't get done for the season. I'll pay for Devontae Adams, even though we gave up millions of dollars for Alan Lazard. We gave up millions of dollars for Mike Williams. We gave up high draft capital for Garrett Wilson. And that's another thing, too, where I love that Schefter tweeted out yesterday, there's teams that called about Garrett Wilson, and the first thing is they're like, the Jets aren't interested. The Jets are not trading Garrett Wilson. The Jets are not trading Garrett Wilson. If anything, one of the reasons they brought Devontae in here is to help improve Garrett Wilson and get someone in this building that is similar skill set to help them improve. And that was part of the reason Reddick was attractive, was that Reddick would come in. He has a similar style to a Will McDonald, that he would be able to teach that young kid, or that young kid could learn from him. Adam Horvath is too late. Needed him for tonight. I wonder what kind of shape he's in. Look, we're going to find out quickly. The Jets, we're going to find out quickly, and we're going to find out, if he's in good enough shape, does he play a part-time role? A part of me wonders if he's going to be active in New England next week, because, again, nothing is given in this NFL, but with the Patriots at 1-6, with a team that is really struggling with the Patriots right now, if Haason's in a good enough shape, could maybe we see him not early in the game, but maybe there's an opportunity, the Jets get ahead, that's almost a little bit of garbage time. Could he get some in-game reps, and they use that Patriot game as almost like a testing ground to see, okay, where's he at? Where's the burst? Where's the first step? And if he looks good, maybe then he gets a bigger role for Thursday Night Football. I mean, a lot of it depends on how good a shape Haasan's in. I also don't think the Jets are going to be very careful. Don't forget they do the heavy rotation, so it's not like they're expecting to play 70% of the snaps. I have a feeling like if he is in good enough shape or they deem him in good enough shape, I would not be surprised if he's active for New England just to get his feet wet, and the team looks at it as an opportunity for him to basically just be a third down pass rusher in that game. And if he feels good, if it looks healthy, if he's got that burst, then who knows? We'll see what happens. I hope Fashanu is the extra lineman to protect Rodgers from Watts. Yeah, that is going to be the matchup of the night. I think Tyron Smith needs to be on a short lease. I know he's taking a lot of shrapnel as well this week, Tony. But the big thing for this Jet team is they have to protect Aaron Rodgers. If Tyron Smith isn't playing well, I'd have a quick hook. I'd go to Fashanu. I know they probably won't tonight because of Watts, but it definitely is a decision I think they need to make in the coming weeks. I almost would have, like you're saying, the extra lineman instead of a tight end out there. But the big thing is you're going to see it. You're going to see a lot of the quick game, get the ball really quick with this pass rush. They're going to try not to get Rodgers hit a lot. And the big thing is the running game. They have to get this running game going. It got going last week. Can they continue to lean on it? Can they continue to pound the football a bit? And look, I think the interiors play exceptionally well. But the big thing for this team is just continue to run the football and continue to give this team an opportunity. Look, like I said, if you spent the 11th pick on Fashanu, give it an opportunity if Tyron Smith isn't playing well. Look, it is a must-win. It is a must-win. And look, I know Woody has gotten his fair share of criticism the last couple of weeks, but it's clear he wants to win. Have some of the decisions they've made in winning worked out? Obviously not. But this is an opportunity where the Jets basically said, okay, we have to get this done. We are all in on this season. So what they basically did was they figured out, okay, let's get this Devontae deal done. Let's get him in here. Let's get this done. Let's get them on the same page. Now, the bigger concern I have tonight is Greg Zuerlein. If I had asked, like, who's the Jet I'm most concerned about, it's Greg Zuerlein. But they figured out the Reddick thing. I do feel that basically this is a situation that the Jets had to get this done. Momo, hello, Rich. Usually call from New York. Now I'm coming to you from North Carolina. Smash the like button. Thank you, Momo. I'm guessing Momo moved to North Carolina. Well, at least the barbecue has improved in his current situation for Momo. Again, guys, give us a like, give us a subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can check us out wherever podcasts are streaming on Spotify, SoundCloud, TuneIn, or Spreaker. Just giving you a little bit of a note change because of my work schedule. Unfortunately, I will not be able to go live after the game tonight. Plus, I also think by the time the game ends tonight, it's going to be midnight. So I think a lot of people are going to be burnt out and want to go to bed. So I'm going to try to schedule a live stream around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock tomorrow to recap the Steelers game. So I just want to give you a heads up. So if you're expecting, I don't want to keep you guys up tonight. If you're expecting the live chat after the game, do not be like to not stay up. Is Barrett the right, but he's still a Tyson with some call forwards. Look, if he helps his team win, I think Jet fans will return again. He's got to have a good start. If he has a slow start, let's put it this way: Jet fans are not going to be shy. Jet fans are not going to be shy about what happened. And look, it is interesting too, because one thing to keep an eye on this week is the Steelers and Jets had a lot of talks this week about Mike Williams. I do get this idea that Mike Williams will likely not be a Jet. Look, if it was me personally, I would not trade Williams because, again, with the Jets' injuries history, the ability he brings to be a big body in the red zone, and the other biggest thing, too, is with the lack of production for the tight end position, you can almost line up Mike Williams as like a hybrid. I'm not saying to block, but like as a slot split out wide receiver, like a wide tight end. But this is a move that the Jets needed to make. I'm glad that they finally got this stuff done. And because, look, Haason Reddick's a great player. Like Reddick, we can make the case when healthy and when ramped up is the best pass rusher on this team and could be one of the most impactful players the Jets have had in a long time. Hopefully he does remove that tonight, Momo, because again, the Jets need him. Look, they did the kicker tryout. I think that was a clear message to Greg: get it together, or it's going to be a very short leash. I know Jet fans are terrified about the possibility of this coming down to a kick tonight. So it'll be interesting, like especially early. If Greg misses, you wonder if this turns into what the Giants were in week 2, where they go for 2, they go for 4th down and short because they don't trust their kicker. But we're going to find a lot about this team tonight, good or bad. Unfortunately, we're going to find out a lot about this team. And look, I got friends that are going to the game tonight. I know this is going to be a big one under the lights, national spotlight. And I think the Jets, too, like, again, they're trying to change this narrative because, again, they've gotten now embarrassed in back-to-back primetime games. They want to be able to be a relevant team. They want to be a team that is respected. And if they go out and win these next 2 games, they're right back into the mix. I mean, the AFC is such a bad place where the Jets are simultaneously, a top 10 pick right now, but also a game out of the wild card. So that just shows you what the AFC is right now. Stop paying money to your comment response of all those other podcasts. Yeah, Momo's doing a good job. I should hire Momo to do my promo. So again, thank you, Momo. I really appreciate that. But look, Reddick has been someone that I do think the Jets desperately needed. He's definitely a big upgrade over what they have. And he just makes this team better. This team just needs good players. And it's one of those things where it's plugging another hole. Where now if we go into the Jets trade deadline, all of a sudden, the Jets, who are desperate for an edge rusher, maybe aren't as desperate. Maybe they can find a piece where they can get good interior defensive tackle. And I think the Williams trade is here's my thing with Mike Williams. If you are just trading Mike Williams to just get a draft pick, if you are just trading him to get like a throwaway day 3 pick, like a 5th or 6th round pick, I'm sorry, but the Jets, they don't need picks at this point. They don't need to be doing that. Like, if I'm the Jets and, like, let's say that they're really that interested with the Steelers, I call them up and, like, one guy I'm targeting is Terrell Edmonds. He's a safety, adds depth to the position. It's a position that the Jets are incredibly thin at right point. The Steelers aren't giving you a prime pass rusher. They're not giving you a prime player, but could you get like a Terrell Edmonds on this team? Could you get like a nice role piece? Like, that's the thing. If they are trading Mike Williams just to get a draft pick, I hate it. Unless someone gives you a stupid offer for a draft pick. But I really doubt someone's going to give you like a 3rd or 4th rounder for Williams. But if you can get a really good defensive line piece, if you can get a rotational defensive tackle, to me, it's a body for a body. If you can get Mike Williams and trade him for a safety that's going to help with the back end of this defense, I really like it. If you trade it for a tight end that's going to help, where now all of a sudden, they've waived Bates. Now they're kind of bouncing between Ferguson as the 3rd tight end. If you can get a good blocking tight end potentially in here with maybe a 7th round pick, I wouldn't hate that as well. You're not going to get an offensive lineman, but could you get a safety? Could you get a depth piece at maybe defensive tackle? Like, that to me is what, if you're going to trade Mike Williams, like, that should be what it is. Look, that's the other thing, Momo. So I'll answer your second question first. Williams, to me, it's just for the depth. If you lose a receiver, you have some great depth. Like, you got to go all in. Like, again, I think the Jets have some depth even after Williams, but still, I just like the depth at this time. But the biggest thing I would say with Reddick is he's been working out, but there's a thing about being in football shape, especially where we are now. If this was like week 2 or week 3, I'd be like, okay, there'd be a short ramp up. But this guy, we're coming into late October. It's nearly Halloween. I do think he's been working out. I do think he's been training, but we'll see what happens. And look, I mean, the thing too is Rodgers was talking about Williams this week. He was saying all the right things about Williams. So my biggest thing, again, if you're just trading him for a throwaway draft pick, I hate that move. Like, I wouldn't just trade him just to trade him for, okay, we're getting a such and such draft pick that we're hoping will potentially, work out. And it's not, no, like, the Jets don't need draft picks right now. What the Jets need is players to help this team win right now. They don't need more future picks. They don't need that. They need bodies that can help this team right now. And look, Mike Williams is a body that can help this team right now. He's a big-bodied wide receiver that can win 50-50 balls in the red zone. And coming off the ACL, he hasn't been what many of us expected, but he still can be a reliable. I believe, again, it's with the incentives. I believe it's like 12, 13 million. But again, there's the incentives in there. But it's a one-year contract. I mean, that's the one thing that's appealing about the Mike Williams moving him is it's a one-year contract. And look, maybe the Jets are done with him. Maybe internally, Rodgers and this offense are done with him because wasn't in the right spot in the Bills game, which cost them dearly. I put more on the Rodgers throw in the Vikings game, but it's one of those things like, was he running the wrong route on that one? Like, it's just with Williams, my biggest thing too is like, if they move him, like, I won't be devastated. I will be like, oh my God, they traded Mike Williams. But I'll be more if it's just for a draft pick. It's like, Joe Douglas, if you don't make the playoffs, that draft pick's not going to help you because you're not going to be here. Where if they get like, okay, a safety to help with the safety room. Okay, Jets' biggest needs probably at safety right now. If they get a good run stuffing defensive tackle, I'll be like, okay, heck, even like an edge rusher. Again, it won't be a great edge, but like a secondary edge that can help this team. I mean, look, you have the Steelers that are clearly interested. They have a good depth piece in Terrell Edmonds, who I think it could come in and start right away. It makes a lot of sense. And who knows, if you're trading for safety, maybe you get like a 7th-round pick back out of that trade too. So I just think that there's a lot more options with Williams. I just would not trade him just for a pick. I just wouldn't do it. Like, the Jets need to win this year. If you're just getting a pick, keep him. If you're getting a legitimate player, and when I mean legitimate, not necessarily a great player, but someone that is going to have a role on this team, whether it's a first or second down run stopping defensive tackle that adds size to this defensive line that's clearly lacking, whether it's a safety that can come in with Chuck Clark being out. Because again, Chuck Clark, has he been great this year? No, but he's been a solid safety. Now all of a sudden you're looking at Adams and Ashton Davis back there and you're going, oh, it's not good. And we don't want that. Well, William, unfortunately, William, the sad part is it's not exactly what you want. It's what the Steelers front office wants. And I think that they do want to get another big body in there for a wide receiver. But look, I just think that for both teams, if you're going to make this deal, you got to make sure that it makes sense. And my biggest thing with Mike Williams, at the end of the day, if you're going to trade him, just keep him. But the biggest thing is the Jets get the Reddick thing done, go and take care of business tonight, and have a new outlook on the season. Again, guys, I'll let you go a little bit early. I know we're starting to get into kickoff, but I just want to give you my thoughts on Reg. But if you're new to the channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest content. And a reminder for programming, we will be back tomorrow to recap the Jets and Steelers. Thanks so much for joining us here today on Rich Sports Talk.